Bradley, good morning. Tina, everyone who's here early, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming out to the stream. Miss Washington, hello, hello. How's everyone doing this morning? What you guys been up to? I just kind of literally just woke up and started to stream. Well, no, I was in bed for a little bit, and then I was like, let's do it. It's 9:47 for me on this Sunday. Tomorrow is it's supposed to be an off day for everyone. It's like so it's supposed to be an off day, but I have to work since some of the things that don't tell you when you're studying to become an IT guy is that you have to work every day no matter what. It's one of those little known facts that no one tells you, but it's true. Like, if I wanted to take a day off, I have to ask it way in advance and see if nothing is like, if nothing is needed, because companies take these days off in order to do all the stuff they needed to do, maintenance and all that stuff. So it's kind of rough, but work is work and you gotta do it. Okay, I'll put this at this side so I can look at it better. Morning, Sarah. Morning, Aaron. And to everyone who's wondering, Rory's right here. Hello, David Brown. Look at her. Look at this cutie. Look at this cutie. Say hello to the camera, Rory. Say hello. She's cold. I'm cold. She's hiding in my jacket, so she's gonna be in there for a little bit. Yeah, it's cold around here. I'm not gonna be able to stream a lot because I need to go get a haircut and I also need to go buy a jacket. So we're gonna watch some videos and then I'm gonna have to head out. Hello, Rendad. Welcome. Hello, Elisabetta Pavlova. Hey, thank you. I am glad you enjoy the commentary. I enjoy doing it. Oh, turn off the music. Sorry. There you go. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're almost done with Darrell Brooks. We need to figure out who are we gonna do next. I believe then the next one that I want to do myself is the Treehouse trial, because I think it's very interesting. I think it has quite a story about it, and I want to do that one. But I can also do another one. Depends on what we're gonna have. How, because that's not that much on. That's a small case. It's like a week, I guess, a little bit less. So that should be a quick one to get through. And then we can start moving on. The thing about the Darrell Brooks trial is that it was way too long. It was like 3 weeks. So it took me a while to cover it. Yeah, the Johnny Depp one should be a good one to do as well. I was thinking about that one as well. That's recent-ish. So we can do that one. So yeah. All right. Let's start. I was just took a little bit. Let's wait another like 5 minutes to see if other people come up. This is Stouch trial has hours and hours of recorded phone calls worth. Wow. That's a lot. Oh yeah, the eye drop one. I think that's a quick one as well. I could do that one. What else? What else is in there? There's a lot of cases. I mean, that's the thing about this kind of content, that there are too many. There are too many cases to pick from, and all of them has some kind of interest. Sarah Boone. I think that she fired his seventh. I was reading about that, and I think she fired his seventh, or his attorney asks for him to be excused. So I don't think that's gonna move soon. I'm waiting on that one as well. But no, there's not a single lawyer that wants to represent her case. She's too stubborn in what she needs to do. Jordi Arias is another one that's been really suggested lately. I had a couple of those suggestions. I want to do the Michael Dunn case because that's an old one, but that's one of my go-tos when I want to watch a trial because uh, that guy is something else. He was one of those persons that got put in a situation and he chose the worst decision that he could make. So that's one that I want to do as well. But at the same time, I will listen to what you guys, Bryce Rhodes and Bradley Jones. Mm-hmm. Hey, Kelly knows the Michael Dunn trial. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good case. And we don't have to go in a lot. We can just I will just watch his interview with the police, his and a couple of witnesses. I wouldn't go through the whole trial because it's not necessary, but I will just go through the his interview, his he went into in the stand, so he's direct and he's cross, and also he two witnesses that his fiance, his ex fiance now, and a neighbor. Those I think those three are the only ones that need to be uh seen in order to get the whole trial. So it's gonna be a quick one. Hello, Debbie. Good morning. Bradley Young. Let me check Bradley Young because I don't remember him. Bradley Young. What is he about? It's in Illinois. Illinois. Home invasion, residential burglary, aggravated vehicular hijacking. Okay, that's tough. Hello, Stella. Stephanie Lazarus. Is Stephanie Lazarus the eye drop case? I always confuse it with the head on the bucket lady. I mean, depends how many days was this uh Bradley John case. Is it like a week, 2 weeks? Wait, whoa, Stella, wait. Hello, Erica. It's raining in Los Angeles. It's really sunny here in Baja. uh, Kill her boyfriend's wife? Excuse me? How does that work? Rosenbaum? I haven't heard of that one. All right. let's start because I have to go in like an hour and a half. So let's start this show. How do I? All right, that is gonna work. That is gonna stream. Yeah, I know. Hug, hug. But gotta go to your bed. There you go. All right, let's do it. Uh, all right. Let's do TGM. We're not on the record, or I'm. Am I deaf now? Am I deaf? Hello? Volume? I think I'm deaf, guys. Is the audio on? Am I muted?
Morning.
There we go.
Yeah, just really quick. Very quick reference to the ICFs. I did address ICF to the.
Prepare yourself for the Chat Dable trial, April's 1st. Hey, Joanne, welcome. Scotland is freezing. I can. It's cold here. It's not as. I mean, I'm a hot-blooded guy, so any cold feels more with me. April 1st gonna be a big one. Is this a joke? Is this an April Fool's joke, or is it actually gonna be a trial on April 1st? Cat Dable.
Clerk of courts in regards to the record. So I should have mentioned that when you was talking about it, but I did actually I addressed it to her personally.
I trust she'll respond in due course then. Anything else?
Not at this time, man.
All right. I will note that it appears yesterday some restitution information was filed.
All right, we're gonna skip the
I
restitution.
just want the court to be aware and state something that's maybe obvious, but maybe not. The people that are speaking to this court are direct victims of this crime. They were either charged individuals or representatives of the groups, such as the Blazers or the bank or whatever. You're very familiar with these groups now after having gone through trial. These are people with a direct link to.
Finally above 0 degrees. Jesus, I was watching some videos about Alaska. There's a person in that I get recommended her videos. Hello Rudy, welcome. My sister's name is Ruth. As by the way, that's so that my older sister is her name is Ruth. Um, I was watching a gal from Alaska, and she says like this is our only convenience store and it only opens on. If you want a hot dog, they only sell them during summer. It's funny.
Either someone that was hurt or injured or killed. That's who we're presenting to you today. Obviously, there could have been thousands of people that would want to share with this court their thoughts, impressions, and the impact that this crime had on them. We did not turn anyone away, but some individuals did contact our office and expressed a desire to contact the court, or I'm sorry, to speak to the court. We directed them to write the court a letter if they felt it was appropriate. I don't know if the court received any such written materials. We also provided some written impact statements on behalf of our charged victims. I know the court has those and has very likely reviewed those already. So I don't want to spend a lot of time with my thoughts and impressions right now because
Yeah, my mom took our names, my sister's name and my name out of the Bible. So she was when she tells us that when she was in the hospital after having my sister, she was reading the Bible and she found the name Ruth and she was like, all right, that's her name. And my name is Joseph. Like my actual name is, well, it's Jose, but it's I put it in English so it's easier for you guys. But yeah, it's Joseph.
I think what's really most important is for this court to hear from these families. And the reason I say that is, you know, Judge, that at trial, we asked some cursory questions about the injuries that were received and the impact that these crimes had on the individuals that were directly involved, but we didn't spend a lot of time on that. And I think this court is really going to be astounded to hear the level of injury that many of these people suffered. Many children suffered the impact, the life-changing impact it's had on them. So this will be different and new information than what we presented at trial. And I think it's very relevant and important for Your Honor to consider when you're deciding on a fair and appropriate sentence, and knowing the gravity of the crime, the seriousness of the situation, and the impact that it had on the community, to hear from these families directly as to what they went through. And again, this was touched on at trial as far as the physical injury versus the emotional injury and the trauma that has been suffered. So I think that will be important as well for this court to appreciate this defendant's conduct. We're past the guilty finding. He's been convicted. Now it's time to talk about what exactly his conduct did to our community and to these families. So these speakers are grouped, not necessarily within the groups as they march down the street, but there is some logic to, so we're not gonna bounce all over the place, is what I'm trying to say. We'll try and clump them together to make the most sense to the court, and with the court's permission. We have a set lineup, of course, high degree of concern
Let's start.
for obeying. They've been,
Because I would like to, but if you could also tell me which victim they relate to, if it is this one.
There we go. Now he's always this is the main event. He always looks at the witness through the reflection of his screen. I don't know why. He should just look back and watch them, but look at his eyes. He always does this with his eyes. He looks down and to the left. Look at that.
There we go. If it pleases the court, Your Honor, one of my staff will actually go let Court TV know when a minor is coming next.
Thank you, I would appreciate that.
All right. And are you going to say the victim that you relate to, or I can tell the court this is for victim you?
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. I'm addressing the court. Is the microphone on? Yeah. it
Yes.
is. Okay. I'm addressing the court, but I also want to direct my comments to Darrell Brooks Jr. My name is Lori Locken. I was walking with the Catholic community of Waukesha, my church family. We were celebrating the joy of the season in preparation for the birth of Jesus when you made your decision to drive through the parade route. It truly amazes me that you deny your accountability for the damage and hurt that you have willfully caused. In the years ahead, I urge you to carefully consider the sorrow and grief of the Waukesha community and the world at large. Ponder the loss of lives within our families, the physical and emotional injuries that may never heal, and the sense of personal safety that you robbed from us. As for me, you never gave me a chance. I turned around and it was only seconds before you hit me square on. I clearly remember feeling the impact.
Wow. All right. So this is this is the thing that makes him like Jesus. She's telling you yet that you hit her head on, and you do this. It, where are your tears that you were doing when your mom was talking? Where were the tears when your friend were talking? Now you have eye rolls. Hello, Paula.
The searing pain of that blow is as clear to me today as it was a year ago. Since then, I'm healing as best as I can from the physical injuries. But you took away my peace and my trust, something that I will never regain. My prayer for you is that you will find your salvation in the midst of this evil. I hope that you will repent for the heartache you have caused so many.
They should have taken the Bible away. He should have had nothing on his table because he needs to be hearing this. He needs to be paying attention to this, and he's just scrolling through the Bible.
I too pray that your own personal wounds that you have sustained through your life, which has created so many demons in you, will be healed through this action. Thank you.
And he laughs. Why are you laughing and shaking your head? Hello, David P. I don't get it.
Thank the court for this opportunity. I am Bill Mitchell, formerly known as Victim ZZ. To you, Mr. Brooks, I'm charge 52. On November 21st, 2021, I was marching with the Catholic community of Waukesha and the Waukesha Christmas Parade. I was walking in the back and I noticed our banner was flying up because of the wind. So I went up to hold down the middle with so people could read it. I was joined by a priest who helped hold it down. We walked almost the entire joyful parade route when something caught my attention. I turned around and saw a headlight. And then I was hit. I didn't see the driver and I didn't see the type of vehicle. I flew over the hood and ended up on the ground with 8 broken ribs, bruised lung, a fractured hand, finger, and my face was slashed open in several places, requiring stitches. Strangers and friends came to my aid as I lay bleeding in the street. I spent 3 nights in an ICU. The recovery was slow. My hand still has painful cramps that freeze in my fingers. But I know I was lucky. Others had a lot worse injuries and 6 died. The impact on my family was great. My wife was home recuperating from surgery when she received the call I was hurt badly and on the way to a hospital trauma center. Not able to drive yet, she had to wait for my son and his fiancée to pick her up and drive her to Oconomowoc. And after
Again, I always talk about this. Hello, Banda. I always talk about the collateral damage because he hit him and that affected his wife and also everyone around him.
I was released, she had to do a 180 from patient to be my nurse and help me in even the most basic tasks. The stress had slowed her recovery. The continuing pain was a major factor on me giving up a part-time job I enjoyed. We had to rely on family and friends for transportation to doctors for follow-up care for months. Neighbors pitched in to do my yard work and snow removal. Youth from the neighborhood decorated the inside of our house for Christmas. This crime had a ripple effect throughout the community. I do want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your diligence and sacrifice to be here. I tell people I was blessed because I didn't see the carnage that night. I just saw people helping me. But the jury and all of you had to watch the entire awful scene on videos and hear detailed reports of what happened. I'm sure that's going to stay with all of you. I wanted to thank the judge for her patience and knowledge, the police, Detective Casey, for their thorough investigation and quick arrest, the prosecution for presenting such a strong case. A special thank you to Jen Dunn, Carrie, and the entire victims assistance team that informed, comforted, and listened to the many people impacted by this tragic event. Finally, I can't bring myself to thank the defendant, but the response to the evil act he did shined a spotlight on how strong, supportive, and loving community we live in. Many people and organizations stepped up to help me. Family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, first responders, Aurora, doctors, nurses, my church family, the Catholic community of Waukesha, Knights of Columbus, AOH, United for Waukesha Community Fund, Catholic Charities, and so many strangers offered support and prayers. The vast majority of people are good.
It's true. Most people are good. Most people in that community are good. But Darrell, he didn't belong there.
That said, then there is Mr. Brooks.
What was my favorite part of the trial? I'm gonna talk about it in my closing video. I mean, after we're done with the, I think after Judge Doro, we're pretty much done with the trial. So after I do the video, I'm gonna post a final thoughts on the trial.
He is a unique
But yeah, the sentence is one of my favorite ones.
individual who can have a clear conscience after running over kids like speed bumps and killing 6 people. I would suggest someone without a conscience. He doesn't ask for forgiveness. He doesn't admit to doing anything wrong. It is never his fault. When he slapped a woman, it was her fault because she made him mad. I believe if he made it home that night with the red SUV, he would have told his mom the damage wasn't his fault. He was in a hurry and people didn't get out of his way. Some crazy old fat gray hair guy body slammed his hood. I didn't watch all the trial, but the parts I saw showed Mr. Brooks had a lack of empathy for his victims or remorse for his actions. The only regrets he seemed to have is that he was caught and the impact on his own life. Free, he would probably not drive through another parade, but chances are someone so self-centered as Mr. Brooks will hurt other people again. The only life he seems to value is his own. I don't believe that Mr. Brooks will think about me or any of his victims ever. The feeling is mutual. I really don't think much about him now, but when the prison door closes on this felon, I won't think about him again. I do hope Mr. Brooks will use the Bible for more than a courtroom prop. He may want to start with the basics that I know his family had taught him, thou shalt not kill. But then
That was awesome. That was a great shot at Darrell Brooks. The whole that point in specific, that he lives by the Bible, but he lies, he cheats. It's a prop.
I want to read Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Your Honor, I hope you give him the time to read and study the Bible. Mr. Brooks did everything he could to try to make the trial a circus. It is not a circus. It's not even about Mr. Brooks. Today, the court will hear what the trial is about, the victims. And as former victim ZZ, I would ask the court for a sentence that keeps the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks Jr., away from society forever. Thank you.
Really strong. He was really nice, so you couldn't tell. But he laid on strong on Brooks. Like he hit him with kind words, and I love that about this guy. Good morning, Chris Troy from Australia. Yeah, Rory's here. She's just roaming around. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
He's clapping and laughing.
Mr. Brooks, my name is Jason Peckloff, and I'm with the Catholic Community of Waukesha. I was one of the victims you hit with the SUV you were driving on November 21st. What you did to my Catholic community and to the city of Waukesha show that you had no regard for life. What makes it more disappointing that you have shown no remorse for what you have done. While you're sitting in prison, I want you to reflect what you have done. I want you to reflect that you nearly took my life. I almost lost the chance to see my wife and kids again. I may have never had the chance to love or hug them again. You intentionally harmed my community, whether it was physical or psychological. You stole our innocence that day. Before that tragedy you created, it was a beautiful day we all experienced and never thought an evil thing like this could ever happen at a parade. My friend, myself, and the Waukesha Catholic community were asking parishioners and their families to participate in this parade. Imagine the guilt we must all bear for the rest of our lives. Because of your actions, I was out of work for about 6 weeks. Then I had to go back part-time because of my sustained injuries. Because of your actions, The multiple lacerations you created leaked out of the bandages and onto my bed, comforter, and sheets. What an awful visual to have. Because of your actions, I could have lost my foot. Thank God my nurse friend was checking on me.
I really like that he emphasized the you. You. Who is you, Darrell? You are the one that did this.
Because of your actions, my wife cannot get the images out of her mind of what you have done. You have forever scarred her.
You see that? He doesn't understand emotional damage. He's like, I did not hit your wife. Why do I have to bear up with that?
Because of your actions, my wife had to hand
Look at that. Look at that eye roll.
over my children to our community friends to check on my lifeless body. Because of your actions, my children, 4 and 6 at the
All right, the jacket is on. The jacket is off. That means that it's on now.
time, had to go with a grieving friend to find her own child that was in lockdown. It took a while for them to be reunited. Because of your actions, my children are scared to death when they had to cross the same street you drove down. They were bawling and begging me not to cross the street. Because of your actions, I need to reassure my children that it is safe at parades. Not sure they ever feel 100% safe. Because of your actions, not all people in our community are ready to go back to the parades. Again, you stole that innocence from them. Because of your actions, my children are scared of sirens. Because of your actions, they were scared of red SUVs every time they saw one. They cried and hid. Because of your actions, I walked into the entrance of my children's school and felt like a triage unit. I saw children on crutches and a walker. What an awful image to be burned into my memory. Because of your actions, I feel terrible. I could not help my community and the city by testifying during the trial. Your cowardly actions did this. Your actions forced my family to seek out therapy and resolve in their minds what happened. Your actions made us second guess what we did that day. What could we have done differently? During this trial, you show no remorse. It makes you look like a monster. During the trial, you show little regard and respect to the court. It makes you look disrespectful. During the trial, you treated multiple witnesses terribly. You were trying to twist the words of our pastor, who is a man of the cloth. You made a comment to a witness you injured that he was walking fine now. It makes you a callous jerk. Despite what you have done to my community, I forgive you. Forgiveness does not remove the need for justice. Justice must be served and you must go to prison. My prayer is that forgiveness will heal your wounds and the wounds for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
He's laughing. I mean, he's laughing now. But I remember, I don't know if it was in the last video or it's gonna be on the next video, that he cries because people call him monster, because people call him demon. And right now look at him, he's laughing. Oh no, I think that was in his closing statements. Yeah, that he says that they call me words like monster, words like demon.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Margaret Petulis, victim BBB, count 54. I know I am blessed to be here today to present my statement to the court. Darrell Brooks's choices on November 21st, 2021 took a toll mentally, physically, and emotionally on me as well as affecting my family. I remember the moment someone yelled car, and I turned to see a vehicle behind and to the right of me. My thought was, what is this vehicle doing here? After that moment, I have a void in my memory. My mind won't let me see what happened. I remember my thoughts. Oh my God, this can't be happening. Please, not my hip, not my leg. My next memory is lying on the ground with a person from our group and a nurse talking to me and asking how I was. They worked on keeping me calm and from going into shock. I will always be grateful to them. Every night I would lay awake and replay the incident to see if I could get the memory back. Months of counseling and the passage of time have helped me be somewhat okay with not knowing what happened. One of my fears is that when I least expect it, the memory will return. After being impacted by the vehicle, I was laying on the ground with severe pain to my left leg. Emergency people stopped by, and one questioned whether I had been shot, and all I could think of is why would I have been shot? I was eventually lifted into a police SUV and taken to Waukesha Memorial Hospital. I was examined and was released after being diagnosed with a broken bone in my left foot. I was instructed to wear the boot provided by the hospital, sit in a recliner, keep my leg elevated, and not put any weight on my left foot. I was instructed to follow up with an orthopedic doctor the following week. I went home and found it very hard to get from the car into the house. I couldn't figure out how to walk without putting my left foot down on the ground. My stomach was nauseous from the pain medicine. My husband and daughter assisted me into the house and sat me in a chair. I immediately passed out, and when I came to, my husband and daughter were concerned that I had had a stroke. They called 911, and I was transferred to Aurora Trauma Center. I was examined head to toe and again released with a diagnosis of a broken bone in my left foot. We live in a tri-level, and I was able to get to the lower level where there is a bedroom, a bathroom, and a family room. For the next 6 weeks, I would sit in the recliner with my left leg elevated and ice packs applied. I also slept with a wedge that kept my leg elevated while I was sleeping. After experiencing more pain in my left leg, I was sent for an ultrasound, and the ultrasound found a hematoma on the inside of my left leg.
Stop it! Just sit down and listen. Why do you have to hit the mic?
Standing up was extremely painful even without putting pressure on my left foot. It would take me a couple of times of standing and then sitting back down on the side of the bed until I could bring myself to hop on my right leg using a walker for balance to get to the bathroom or to the recliner. My husband had to help me in and out of bed due to the extreme pain in my lower left leg. I couldn't dress or undress myself, take a shower, go to doctor's appointments, or to mass without his help. Every day he had to apply gauze wrap and an ace bandage to my left leg to cover the blisters so that as they would burst, they were covered. He then applied the boot sock and a boot. Every day for several weeks, he had to prepare all meals and bring them down on a tray to me. We were fortunate that he was working from home during this time. I had orthopedic appointments and 3 rounds of physical therapy. I am still going through physical therapy. After the bone healed in my foot, I was still experiencing pain in my ankle. The pain limited me. I had trouble walking normally, could not walk any great distance. Going up and down the stairs was best sitting on the stairs and going down that way. As time went on, I was frustrated that I could not perform the simple act of walking down the stairs. Before going to the 3rd physical therapist, frustration set in as I thought I would always have pain and not be able to do all the things I enjoyed, such as pickleball, stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, walking miles, and traveling. My 3rd round of physical therapy found that the whole left side of my body was twisted from the impact of the vehicle. After 10.5 months and 3 rounds of physical therapy, I am now 95% back to normal. All the months of suffering and thinking no one would be able to figure out what was wrong, I was worried that the pain would remind me forever the choices Darrell Brooks made on November 21st, 2021. I wanted my life back. During this time of healing, I felt isolated and frustrated that the Advent and the Christmas season were happening, and I was unable to decorate, shop, or participate as I usually would during the holidays. Emotionally, since being struck by the vehicle driven by Darrell Brooks, I have felt like a victim. Every day I was reminded that I was limited by physical pain and loss of self. The world went on, but I was stuck, not able to move forward. Today, I am taking the final step forward in my journey of coming out the other side of this incident. Life is starting to look like it was before November 21st, 2021. I know I am not the same person that I was before this trauma, but now I have an enhanced appreciation for life and a stronger sense of spirituality. I am grateful to have a supportive family, supportive friends, and my Catholic community of Waukesha who have all walked this road with me. Forgiveness is a choice. I know that I can forgive you, Darrell Brooks, without forgetting the trauma you caused, without you apologizing and acknowledging your actions. This may take some time for me to accomplish, but after today, I will not let your actions take over my life. I will move on. Regarding sentencing, Your Honor, I would like to request that due to Darrell Brooks's total lack of concern for human life on November 21st, 2021, that for each count that the jury returned a guilty verdict, Darrell Brooks received the maximum sentence for each of those counts. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And that's what I'm talking about. I mean, she just gave a really good statement of how her life changed after that moment, of how she still is not recovered a year later, 100% of that. And then all he has to do is sit there and listen, and he's shuffling his papers, he's reading he's moving the Bible, he's doing something with his notepad, and he cannot do it well because he's chained. But what I will think is they should remove all of these papers and stuff. He doesn't need them.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Rogers. My children were victims U and V. I'm a father of 4, 3 of which were marching with me in the parade last November. 2 of my children were struck.
Wait, he's the guy. He testified. So he has an open mic to tell him whatever he wanted to tell him while he was in the stand, because obviously in the stand you have to be respectful of the court, but now he can go for it. Also, guys, if you guys will do me a favor, and if you haven't clicked the like button, if you will it will help me out if you did. It will help the channel to spread the algorithm around. Thank you.
I also serve as the president of the Waukesha Blazers baseball and fast pitch organization, and was a couple months into that job at the time of the parade. I've debated whether or not to read a statement for this sentencing. At the end of the day, I felt it necessary to have my voice heard. For my sake, for my family's sake, and for the Waukesha Blazers' sake, and for all the other victims. I'm here today with families that I love, and I'm so sorry that this happened. First of all, this event was completely avoidable, and from my perspective, there has been zero remorse, sympathy, or acknowledgement of the victims by the defendant. All he had to do was stop the vehicle when he saw the crowd, and none of these lives would have been changed forever. For this reason alone, he needs to be locked up for the rest of his life. But enough about him. This is about the impact of the event on me, my family, and our Blazers organization. I'd like to speak as a father, first of all. The impact this has had on my family and I has been immense. This last year has been full of confusion, irritation, anxiety, and depression. We haven't been able to live a normal life. The trial has been dragged out, and literally we were pulled back through to relive everything, all because this person wouldn't admit it like a man and take what was coming to him.
Yeah, nice. And look at that. Look at that face when they start talking about the truthness of it. Look at that. He's like,
My kids are some of the strongest people I know, and they have proven that through the faith in God they've displayed throughout. However, the impact this has had on them literally makes me sick. No more parades, that joy is gone. This is something that will never leave them. I'm still learning things today as well about what they heard and saw that day. I pray every night that God continues to strengthen them to push through and know that He is in control. That night when we got home, I'll never forget Caden looking at me with glassy eyes. He looked up at me and said, "I'm really glad Riley is okay," and started to cry. When my wife Stacy sat on the chair next to me that night, it felt different. She hugged me longer than normal and a lot more firm than normal and said, "Thanks for keeping our kids safe." Everyone saw on the videos that were shown, we're literally inches away from losing 3 out of our four children, and myself included. I thank God each day that He spared us and provided the adrenaline, courage, and strength to get my kids out of the way, gather all the kids we could, and pray together. My wife was going to come with us that night along with our toddler son. I play things in my head over and over, imagining what could have been if she would have come. Where would she have been standing when that SUV barreled through? I have flashbacks most days to Maya's jacket slipping through my hand. If I wouldn't have grabbed it the second time, I know what the outcome would have been. Riley still has trouble sleeping, with some nights getting out of bed 6, 7, 8, 9 times because she heard a noise or doesn't feel safe. A few days ago, I was one-on-one in the car with her, and I finally apologized for not finding her right away. Thank God our friend found her and kept her safe, but as her dad, I've lived with the fact that I couldn't find all my kids that night after it happened. I went way too long not knowing where my kids were, with panic overwhelming me. As a father, I can confidently say that this incident had a year-long impossible impact on me and our family. Are we managing? Yes, of course, as God is in control. Now to speak as the Blazers president. This was a happy gathering and almost the kickoff of my presidency with the Blazers since I was only a couple months in. We were getting to know each other, welcoming a new coach, our new board members, and overall just ready to advertise our Blazers program. Looking back at the pictures from prior to the tragedy, we were so happy. So much love and camaraderie. We were ready for an awesome season. I spoke just prior about my perspective during the event as a father of 3 kids, but as the president of our organization, the weight of the moment to find an account for everyone felt like it was on my shoulders. We had nearly 35 people there. I knew I had lots of help, and for that I can't thank the other parents and coaches enough. The moment was a blur, and gathering and putting kids up in the truck was the priority. From there, the kids I could find huddled with me in the theater, and we said a prayer for those injured and being attended to. I knew that the next few days were going to be intense, but I never fully grasped how crazy the following days, weeks, and months would be. The amount of turmoil and struggle for our Blazers organization was literally insurmountable. From the moment of the incident, the amount of media and law enforcement interaction was exhausting and unending. Media showing up at my door asking for individual participants' status. Unbeknownst to them, that 2 of my children were hurt. There was nonstop email flow, phone calls, planning, coordinating, and filtering through things. It was endless work. This job went from something I truly loved, from my biggest passion in life, to something I cried about for months. I went from giving speeches on Facebook Live about how cool our new indoor facility was, to speaking at Jackson's funeral. From there, the community really pulled together. The amount of love and compassion that came our way was also unending. It was honestly overwhelming. For that, we cannot thank this community enough. Finally, I wanted to briefly touch on the true impact this has had on me. My faith was challenged over the past year, but I can confidently say it's stronger than ever. The hardest part about the whole incident was not knowing where my kids were, not having answers for what just happened, not knowing if more danger was coming. I knew I had Maya next to me, but when I went back and forth screaming for Caden and Riley, that horror plagues me every day. I go back to those moments quite often, and when I watch the videos during the trial, it brought back all those feelings. Pure and utter terror, that's what it was, and that's the impact it still has today. Finally, in closing, I'm a man of faith and wanted to share 2 Bible passages which have pushed me through. First of all, my confirmation passage, Joshua 1:9. It reads, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." And secondly, I met with my pastor prior to testifying, and he provided me with an excellent part of Scripture. Philippians 4. It says, "Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understandings, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Thank you for listening, and may God strengthen us all.
Thank you, sir.
So right now we are way past the 3 people that Darrell Brooks had in his speaking for him. And hello, Zephyr. Hello, B Blanco. Hello, Jenny. Hello, everyone. I just want to say this. I think in life, one of the most important things is to be able to learn from what we live, because we are humans. we're gonna be making mistakes. We're gonna directly or indirectly do bad in life. That's unavoidable. I think everyone, everywhere, every single human, just because of the fact that we are human, we're gonna make mistakes. And I don't know. The fact that he doesn't take accountability for any of those mistakes, he doesn't seem to learn everything from this experience, is what bothers me the most. Because all you have to admit is that you did wrong and move from there. Not move past it like you said. Move from there and start changing your life. But as we see, he doesn't do that. Because he goes through all of this, and then we're gonna go to Judge Doro's final remarks, and you're gonna see that he didn't learn anything from what he's feeling, or what he's supposed to be feeling right now. All right, look at Grandma's LinkedIn. Remember, yeah, we saw. If you saw yesterday's live or the bot, I went to her webpage, and let's just say that her certifications are not the best. I'm going to skip a little bit.
Were available. My son didn't want to talk about it. And today still doesn't. I tried to return to work. I tried to return to teaching. I couldn't make it through a day without feeling hypervigilant, startling at every noise, having a panic attack from the sound of a door, shout, thud, gasp, anything and everything. After the parade, I couldn't make it through a day. My joy disappeared. I felt guilty. I had no right to feel joy since my son and daughter were alive and others were not. I was open about questions my kids had, but I cried and screamed in agony when they weren't around. I overreacted, shouting and pulling my kids near in the parking lots and streets, or any time I saw a car come within a quarter mile away, convinced they all had ill intentions. PTSD throws all the punches. I left my career to work intensively on healing in a program for PTSD. I have only just returned to the workplace, only just a month ago. Something quieter, something with less action. Because after almost 1 year, some days still feel like November 21st was yesterday. Intrusive memories, hypervigilance, nightmares, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, anger, guilt, shame. These are all things I and others live with daily because Darrell Brooks drove through our joy and turned it to terror. When he suggested he could have hit more, he was wrong. He hit everyone. The toll this event has taken on everyone, physically hurt or not, is tremendous. And it sickens me to know that there are so many others with a similar story as ours. I know some today may offer forgiveness, but for me, forgiveness is for accidents, for mistakes or poor choices that the offender expresses remorse for their actions. Darrell Brooks offers no remorse, but he did search for sympathy.
Look at that. She's just telling you that you don't feel remorse, and then you roll your eyes at her. I don't know how you do that and still be real with you. Like, my guy, you're just doing what she's saying.
Sympathy for himself. I cannot offer forgiveness. I will not. Daryl Brooks should be held accountable for every second of pain and trauma he inflicted on all of us that day, including the many years inflicted already on Miss Patterson. Free, he is and always will be a danger to society. With that, Your Honor, I ask that the full sentence is issued and he spends the rest of his days in prison without the chance of parole. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, look, he's laughing. Look at that. He's laughing. He's trying to convince himself that, she's just bitter. She cannot move on. God is not gonna forgive her because she's not forgiving me. You see, this is what upsets me. Hello, Annette. This is what upsets me about this guy. And this is why I don't buy any of what he sells. Because he doesn't have remorse. There's not a single neuron on his brain that says, dude, you're doing this wrong. He's justifying himself.
I'm Lindsay Conkle, and my family walked with the Waukesha Blazers. November 21st, 2021, my family walked in the Waukesha Christmas Parade. My boys were dressed proudly in their baseball jerseys, streets lined with smiling faces. The crowd was happy and excited. In a split second, excited cheers turned into sounds of screaming and horror. A trail of bloody bodies were left laying in the road. My family was not physically injured that day. We somehow dodged the path of the car by inches. Our mental and emotional injuries were severe, and they remain a struggle for us every day. We have the image and the sound of a SUV plowing through people burned into our minds for the rest of our lives. My children were separated, and I ran through a trail of bloody bodies that were left laying in the road. I will not forget how many people I saw. Some seizing in an intersection, some unconscious, and some not. My children...
We have conflicting reports on the grandma. I mean, it was a at the very least, it was a grandma to him. You know, maybe it wasn't a blood-related grandma, but it was an elder person that he considered her grandma.
Cried themselves to sleep for weeks after and still do. They still wake up with nightmares, as do I. They could not walk in a parking lot without clinging to me, shaking and terrified that a car would try to run them down. We suffer from major panic attacks and PTSD. All from a day that was supposed to be happy and exciting. As parents, we have to try to help cope with our children while we do not know how to cope ourselves. My children, my family, and I, and every person that we know will never be the same after that day. There were many people that were fortunate enough to walk away unharmed. However, Jackson Sparks was not one of those people. A child, 8-year-old, walking next to his big brother with his whole life ahead of him. The next time my children wore their baseball jerseys was to a funeral. A funeral for an 8-year-old boy, their friend, their teammate, that they have spent many days playing and making memories while at their brother's baseball games. His family and friends will never see his smiling face light up a room, and his team will never be able to celebrate a win with him on the baseball field ever again. Every moment of Jackson's life that was ahead of him was ripped away by Daryl Brooks. You, Daryl Brooks, you hid in a children's playhouse and ditched your hoodie in a sandal. That playhouse happened to be my children's at the house we just moved out of a couple of months prior. That playhouse was built for them, built for my sons, and you hid there after you left their friend and teammate lifeless in a road along with...
Look at that. She just told him that he killed a boy. That he hit his jersey, he used her playhouse to try to get away, and he rolls his eyes.
Many others. You didn't just get lost in a parade route, you disregarded police and the safety of hundreds, and you disregarded life. You very selfishly ripped away the joy from the families who were there just to bring joy to others. There are many holes left in our community, but our community has grown stronger and we all have each other. You, however, will have no one. You will have no one in a cell where you belong for the rest of your life. Thank you, Judge Doro, and we ask that please he never see the light of day again.
Thank you.
Why are you laughing? She just told you the truth. Hello, Deacon.
My name is Sherry Sparks. I am Jackson and Tucker's mom. I stand here today with my son Tucker and my husband Aaron. I'm here today to represent my family, but mostly for my boys, who were both struck down by the red SUV on November 21st. I want to give a voice to our son Jackson Sparks. Our family is forever changed. We are hurt, angry, traumatized, and broken. November 21st was a day that was supposed to be fun and filled with laughter and smiles. Instead, it became a nightmare full of fear, screams, and tears. Put the first one up. My boys were walking in the Waukesha Christmas parade with their baseball teammates, friends, and coaches. It was a chilly and windy day that day, so we all layered up and prepared to kickstart our holiday season. We met up with our Blazers group, decorated the truck, prepared the buckets of candy and flyers for the boys, took some group photos, and then I left to go find my seat near the end of the parade route and wait for our group while enjoying the parade. I had no idea then the nightmare that was coming my way. Nor did I know that it would be the last time I would hear Jackson's voice and see his smile. I wish I would have known then that the hug he gave me before I went to sit down was the last hug I would ever get from him. I would have held on to him a lot longer. After the red SUV flew past us, it was pure chaos. I will never ever forget the horrible sound of the car hitting bodies and the thud of bodies landing on the ground. I immediately grabbed my favorite plaid blanket, ran up the street to find my boys. What I found shook my world. I saw Jackson first in the arms of a police officer. He was running him to get him medical attention. My husband was right behind them and told me that Tucker had been struck also. Pointed me back to the direction where Tucker was. Can you do the second photo, please? That's Tucker underneath my blanket there, the plaid blanket. My world came crashing down at that moment. I wanted to scream, I wanted to throw up and cry. Adrenaline kicked in and I went to find my boy. I spotted Jackson's baseball hat lying in the road first. Then Tucker's hat. Then I found Jackson's shoe, which kind of led me to Tucker. I finally spotted him. He was one of the many bodies lying in the road, covered in blankets. I recognized the shoes on his feet. That's how I found him. They're sticking out from under the blanket. I stayed at Tucker's side as he lay in the road waiting for an ambulance to come back for him. He was semi-conscious, but we couldn't move him without a backboard due to his head being injured. They had run out of backboards. Luckily, a nearby shop owner / hero dragged a door out of her shop to roll him onto so we could get him out of the cold and get him warm. An hour laying out in the cold road where he was thrown from impact. You can go to the next photo, please. This is what we were facing next. Both boys had traumatic head and brain injuries. They both ended up in the ICU at Children's Hospital. Their rooms just a few doors down from one another. The next day, Tucker asked us about Jackson, if he was okay or was he worse than himself. Do you have any idea how gut-wrenching it is to have to explain your 12-year-old son that his little brother isn't going to make it? His injuries were too extensive for his little body to come back from, and that he won't be coming home with us ever again. Leaving him at the hospital was brutal. To see the confusion, frustration, and hurt on his face when he's standing over his little brother in his hospital room, taking in all the machines he was hooked up to. Tucker remembers everything up until the moment he was hit. He had actually turned around and saw the SUV coming towards them. He said Jackson was right next to him. He said he saw a few people get hit, and then he tried to run out of harm's way. He didn't make it. Being the protective big brother, Tucker blamed himself. He felt he should have tried to grab Jackson or done more to protect his little brother. It broke my heart to hear him saying these things. Tucker's physical injuries were also severe. He still struggles with memory issues and brain processing speed. The mental and emotional damage is severe. Survivor's guilt, PTSD, anxiety, he still gets headaches. His little brother was taken from him. He's suddenly an only child now. He misses his little brother and his playmate. Jackson brought out the silly in him, and life will never be the same without him. You can go to the next photo. Every holiday, special event, family function, vacation, there will always be an empty chair or space where Jackson should be. Jackson's absence is very prominent. Every day we face that vacancy, and it triggers sadness and trauma. Jackson's life was taken from him and taken from us. Life isn't the same without him, and it never will be. This morning, I should have spent the morning making him breakfast, taking him to school, hearing about his day later. Instead, I'm standing here in this courtroom, asking for justice for my boys. We came so close to losing both of them that day. I miss Jackson every second of every single day. I feel gutted and broken. It hurts to breathe sometimes. It hurts to live without him here. My mama's soul aches for him. I am emotionally and mentally exhausted. The pain I carry with me every day feels so heavy. Yet I have to push forward, still be there to help Tucker heal, and move forward with find our new normal. You can go to the next photo, please. As a family of faith, we know this man will face God's judgment someday for his actions. Until then, we feel it is this court's duty and responsibility to all the victims to sentence this man to the maximum penalty allowed under Wisconsin law for each and every guilty charge. We feel this man does not deserve to see freedom in our lifetime, nor our son Tucker's lifetime. We have learned throughout this trial that this man is incapable of empathy or remorse. He has shown no sympathy nor apology for all of the pain, suffering, and loss of life he has caused to so many. This man not only took Jackson away from our family, he violently ripped Jackson out of our lives. Jackson was only 8 years old. 8. He only had 8 years here with us. He was robbed of everything. He will never get to hit a home run, catch frogs with his brother again, meet his wrestling hero, Braun Strowman. He won't ask a girl to prom. He won't go to college, get married, or have children of his own. Jackson will never be able to do any of these things. These milestones will never happen. He was a bright light in our lives. He was very shy to most people, but those close to him, to his family, he was a big ball of energy. He was charismatic and full of light in life. His life was cut out way too short. Jackson and the other victims deserve justice. We deserve closure in order to heal and find our new normal. We hope to achieve that today. Thank you. And thank you, prosecution, Judge Doro, very much. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
At this time, Your Honor, we'd like to request a break and bring in the second group.
No. You are pointing to an empty space, dude. Like, this is what you're doing with your hand is just trying to find where a heart should be. But you don't have one. I'm sorry. Alright. I don't know this person. I don't know the person that I just saw. I understand that's the mom, Jackson's mom. But I don't know her. I never met Jackson in my life. I don't know her family. I'm from another country. Miles, thousands of miles away. And I feel my heart breaking right now. And I know this was going to happen. And I knew when I was gonna watch these videos that it was gonna be hard. But I cannot imagine why a human being that this guy right here hurt. He hurt his brother. He and this is all. This is the most that he can do. He cannot even cry. He cannot put himself enough empathy, enough guilt for him to cry right now. And if I can feel it, anyone can feel it. Because like I said, I'm not involved in any of this. I'm just a human being watching these events. And I feel bad. This is the reason why I didn't want to make a video about this. Because I knew that I was not gonna be able to handle it. It's just so heartbreaking. I feel a fire in my belly because I cannot believe that this person then goes on to cry about people calling him names, about feeling that he wasn't able to defend himself. How can you defend against something like that? There's no way. And you know what's the best part? Is that he's gonna spend his whole existence inside a jail. People telling him what to do. And that's the best punishment for him. I know a lot of people talk about in the comments about why there's not a capital sentence, capital punishment in Milwaukee. I'm glad that he doesn't get capital punishment because that would be better for him, in my opinion. Capital punishment is not enough for what he did because that will be an easy way out. He needs to live every day with this on his shoulders. Every day that he wakes up, or well, people wake him up and tell him what to do and be inside of a jail every night, that's the punishment that he deserves. In my opinion. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but that's the way that I feel. It's just not wrong. Yeah, and at least at least in jail he has a vet. Yeah, and I'm sure he's gonna try to make the existence of everyone in jail miserable. But you know what? They get paid for that. And someone asked in the before about him going to general population. I think he should be going to general population. He shouldn't be given any special treatment for him. He's another inmate. There's another inmates over there that did horrible things as well. So he deserves to be with them.
Yes, the court's going to step off as well while you do that. We'll take about a 10-minute break.
Thank you.
We heard there was a shooter. My fingers. We heard there was a shooter. My fingers, my whole body was paralyzed in fear and fright. When we made it to the hospital, I was terrified because I thought I broke my fingers. And when they asked me what happened, I was too busy crying that I couldn't speak. I still this day. The day after the parade, I couldn't even go to school because of what he did. All my friends were worried about me, texting me, asking if I was even alive. Sometimes I even think of all the others that were hit and how they were in the hospital for longer than me, and how their parents were probably praying that their kids would be okay, and that this would be a once-in-a-lifetime happening. I think this should have never happened to us. The day I went back to school, everyone was asking me a million questions every time I was alone. Everyone was babying me, acting like one of my family members was killed. What makes it worse is that almost a year ago my dog died, and I have lived with it my whole life, so I was extra sad and upset. At that moment, I realized that our family had to find justice against the man who hit too many people and caused a nightmare on November 21st, 2021. I ask for this pain to never be caused again.
And I've been asked to read a statement by victim KKK. When I got hit by the car that day, it hurt a lot. I got hit on my right leg, and it still kind of hurts now and then. That hit changed my life, and it still scares me sometimes when I think about it. I also feel bad for the families who lost someone and everyone who died and was in the parade. And then he drew a picture of a SUV, and it says car that hit me, and there's a little figure and candy bucket and bottle and me. So they handed that to me on behalf of victim KKK.
Hello, Kim. Thank you for stopping by. I'm sorry that this is not gonna be a funny stream. I'm sorry that I just it's just not the kind of stream for that.
Your Honor, we need to take a break for a second, please. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's important.
All right, thank you. We'll do that.
He's so confused about what's going on. And we have a lot of nothing. There we go. We come back here.
Reasonable measures to secure the courthouse. At this time, I am not going to stop these proceedings.
Oh, this was when there was like that there was like an alert on the courtroom. That's why everyone was rushing out.
We will continue, and I will rely on the Sheriff's Department and law enforcement personnel to advise if anything changes. I apologize for the abrupt disruption previously, but I'm confident that we can go forward at this time. I know when we took that break, right before that, Jen Dunn had been reading a statement from one of the juvenile victims, and there was a picture that was referenced. I would like to make a request for that picture to be made part of the record.
Thank you, Judge. We had anticipated that as well. We're prepared to display that at this time on the monitor.
And then will that be filed?
Yes, I can file that.
All right, go ahead.
So again, this is the note and drawing by victim KKK.
Can you tell me the age of KKK?
8 years old.
Thank you very much. Were you completed with that statement, Ms. Dunn?
I am completed with victim KKK's statement, and you can now see the drawing that was made by that victim on the bottom of his statement.
Thank you very much.
Next, I do have the statement of the mother of victim KKK and LLL to read for the court. I am not sure how or where to begin to try and put into words how November 21st of 2021 has impacted my life or my family's life. That was a night that I pray I could forget, say it has not broken me, say that I am stronger than a single moment, and move beyond as if it never happened. But unfortunately, as much as I try, this is something that haunts me daily. Our lives forever changed that evening. Mr. Brooks took an evening that was supposed to be filled with excitement, love, and holiday spirit and turned it into a real-life nightmare. November 21st of 2021, I witnessed the most horrific event I could ever have imagined leaving my house that evening. My children at the time of the parade were 11, victim LLL, 9, victim KKK, and 6, innocent, full of life, love, compassion, and excitement for the holidays. That evening, Mr. Brooks stripped this from my children, leaving them physically hurt, scared, angry, confused, traumatized, and forever changed with the visions of what happened that night. I saw absolute fear and pain in my children's eyes they should never have had to experience in their entire life. I saw my daughter, victim LLL, lying in the road crying and yelling, "Who would do that?" I saw my son, victim KKK, flipped on his back, crying in pain, not being able to move or feel his legs. I remember knowing we weren't safe and needing to leave, telling my children to run as fast as they could, and mentally knowing we needed to run, but physically feeling my body pull me back, not knowing if I am running them to safety or back to danger. I remember seeing parents laying on top of their children in fear and trying to protect them the best they could from what was happening. I remember sitting at every stoplight while driving my children to the hospital, trembling to the point the car was shaking. In complete fear, every car pulling up beside me was the person who hit my children. Yes, Mr. Brooks, I remember. I watched my son not be able to sit alone in a room for weeks. I watched my children not be able to sit still without being anxious and fidgeting for months. I watched my children wake up with nightmares to this day. I saw gut-wrenching guilt on my husband's face for feeling like he didn't protect his family. And to this day, I feel anger and hatred more than I realized I ever could for a person I have never even met. But aside from all of that, I am thankful. Thankful that by some miracle, my family and I walked away that evening. Although I could not attend most of the trial in person, I did view either via Zoom or on TV. I viewed everything from the pre-trial, jury selection, and trial itself, and I am disgusted that a grown man could act the way Mr. Brooks acted during all of this. Mr. Brooks claims he was raised a Christian and his mother raised him better than he was acting at the beginning of the trial, but Mr. Brooks continued to be rude, selfish, and disrespectful, from sleeping during court, endless interruptions and outbursts, rude comments, facial expressions, and lack of remorse for his actions and how he was treating everyone in court, from the prosecutors, victims, witnesses, and judge herself. I never thought Mr. Brooks could make myself or my family feel victimized all over again, but he did. I keep remembering how Mr. Brooks was upset the detective in the investigation asked to speak to one of his children. I asked myself, it's not okay to speak to his child, but it's okay to intentionally hit two of my children and drive away? That's okay.
Ah, that's awesome. I love that. I love that for him. I love that he has to people are calling him out, and that's one of the main reasons why I do these videos. Is because I love calling out his lies, calling out his hypocrisy, because he doesn't deserve to be hurt about that. He's a monster, and he will always be a monster.
Okay, why my children? Why any children? How could someone do this? How could someone have no compassion for the victims, the families? We deserve answers. Our children deserve answers, true and honest answers. Never once did I see true remorse for anyone but himself or his family during the trial. Mr. Brooks also stated something along the lines of, anyone who knows him or spends enough time with him knows he would never do something like that. But Mr. Brooks, you absolutely did. Mr. Brooks hit my children and so many more people and never once stopped. Not only did he kill, injure, and traumatize so many that night, he decided to victimize everyone again by forcing them to not only testify as to what happened because he felt compelled to plead not guilty, but he also forced these victims and family members, including my husband, to face the monster that did this and answer the questions he felt the need to ask. How can someone face each person on the stand, knowing what was done that night, question them as if they were the ones on trial when all of the victims and witnesses were doing that night were creating memories? Unfortunately, memories were created, but not the memories I planned to have with my children. Instead, the fear I have seeing a maroon SUV driving towards myself or my family is now paralyzing. Seeing a vehicle drive too fast down any street makes me physically sick to my stomach. My children panic at the sight of an emergency vehicle. Seeing people run and yell unexpectedly, even if just for fun, makes my heart drop, and my mind brings me back to the night of the parade. Hearing the screams, yells for help, and cries from that night will haunt me until the day I die. Those are the memories I have from the night. The only good that has come from this is Mr. Brooks will never be able to hurt another person outside of prison ever again. The guilty verdict and hopefully life plus sentence will protect anyone that may have been hurt by Mr. Brooks in the future, and that I can be thankful for. Please, on behalf of myself and my family, we ask Mr. Brooks to be sentenced to the fullest extent. Mother of victim KKK and LLL. Next to speak will be victim S.
That was a really, really good letter. That was well put, and I like that she calls him out with that. Yes, the toothache was at the beginning. I think he was still with his lawyers, and he was claiming that a tooth hurt, and he couldn't come to court.
Go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
I'm taking some notes, and I was wondering,
what?
It was a little confliction there. Is victim KKK 8 or 9?
It was 8. Now it's 9. People grow, monster.
I can't answer that, sir, but that was a written statement read from the mother of victim KKK.
I apologize.
He's gonna say objection. He's gonna call out what is it called? What is it called in legal terms? He was like conflicting testimony. What?
I'm just taking notes.
Why? Do you don't need to take notes of any of this? None of this matters as to the trial.
Right, go ahead.
Who cares what you think?
My name's Kelly Grebo, and I was walking in the Christmas parade with my daughter, Adelia, on the 21st. I'm not one for public speaking, obviously. I'm very nervous. But I was given a chance to be the voice for my daughter, and I. That is what fueled me to stand here today. Now I can only tell you our story, but I believe the tragic events of that day have affected many of us in a similar manner. I can honestly say I have never felt the hatred I do for one person like I do this man. The very man that drove his vehicle into my 9-year-old baby girl.
I mean, I can really understand why she's so upset, and she's taking notes. She was 9 years old. All right, Sarah, thank you for stopping by. Hello, Harley.
Who was excitedly walking in the Christmas parade. She was so excited to dress up that day. As Cindy Lou Who, we spent weeks figuring out her costume, and picking her hairstyle. She was excited to have her hair and makeup done, and to help spread holiday cheer, to see her friends and her family that were there to be spectators at the parade that became witnesses to this horrible act themselves. So many lives were changed that day, although many of us, for the most part, have healed physically. Emotionally, many of us have been scarred. I have questioned whether those emotional scars will ever truly go away, remembering the roller coaster of emotions that day. And after being struck myself, lying on the ground and seeing the tires pass directly in front of my face and just waiting for the pain to begin. Being filled with absolute fear of not knowing where my daughter Adelia was, or if she was okay, then running only to find her the way I did, the way so many of us found our loved ones that day, lying helpless on the cold, hard ground. My knees buckled the minute I got to her. Seeing my child that this so-called sorry excuse for a man ran a 3,000-pound SUV into her tiny little body. There are so many times when I close my eyes, I still see my baby girl laying in the street helpless, not moving, just staring in complete shock, not even recognizing her own grandparents when they came to her side. Seeing that look in her eyes will forever be embedded in my mind. As a parent, We are supposed to be able to protect our children, and that day many of us were reminded of the ugly in this world, that no matter what we do, there will always be monsters like Darrell Brooks that are lurking around corners, just waiting for a chance to play those parts in our nightmares. Yet even after causing this much pain and destruction, he wasn't even happy with that. He didn't stop there. He took it upon himself to be his own representation, knowing full well he would be given the chance to question us as victims and rip open the wounds once again and show no remorse. I can tell you, sitting on the stand that day, reliving the horrific events, having him look in my direction brought up so many memories and emotions of that night. Hearing his voice made me cringe with disgust and anger. He changed our Adelia that day. He stole her innocent, happy look on life and replaced it with fear and hate that no child at the now age of 10 should ever feel. Although those feelings are warranted, she was forced that day to see the ugly in this world also, and her joyous outlook on the holiday season was stolen. I'm not sure if she will ever again attend another parade, let alone a Christmas parade. I don't know when the unexplained loud noises will ever not take me back to that day and make me jump, make my heart rate increase. However, I do know every day is a new chance. We have to take back our lives and give this man no more than he has already taken. We are now stronger than we ever imagined we would have to be as a family and as a community, and that he cannot have. He does not deserve that. What Darrell Brooks does, however, deserve is to be sentenced to the maximum time allotted for each one of his horrific convictions, as he has given us as a community a life sentence of these memories. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, these people are telling him their opinion, what they think about him, and he rolls his eyes at them. I cannot do this. I cannot do this much more. Okay, I gotta do one more. Hello, Frasar. We're gonna do one more. You see this? He's like, moving on. Let's watch that again, because this guy doesn't. How does he expect any mercy? Look at this. And who is he doing these movements for? When you do this, you're trying to tell something to someone. Who are you telling this, guy?
Madam Clerk, we need a display, please. Thank you. About computers, because we didn't have a power cord, but no, that one won't. Miss Gussie's gonna run and grab the power cord, and then it should work. There's a change between what we were using earlier, and that's why probably it's not recognizing the computer.
I apologize for the technical difficulties.
That's usually when I get into the courtroom and be like, okay, what's wrong? What's gonna happen? Okay, here's an extra cable. Here's another computer. We can do this. We're gonna go through this. That's my job.
Simply wait for the technology, but we will do that if you want to wait.
We'd like to wait if that's all right.
No problem. You may have something. or turn the microphone closer to you.
Oh, sorry. Katie Pudliner, mother of Tyler Pudliner.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Looking back over the last 358 days, some days are a complete blur, others are vivid as yesterday. At 4:39 p.m. on 11/21/21 changed my life, my sons, my family, my friends, and the Waukesha community. During the closing arguments, the defendant spoke of family. His grandmother released her statement to the media speaking of family. Through the past 358 days, we have heard from the Brooks family that the defendant has a mental illness as a reason for his decisions that evening, except the decision-making goes back further than that. It seems the decision was made not to get help, not to stay medicated, etc., instead to use it as an excuse for poor, selfish decisions. My family almost lost the only son, the only grandson, the only nephew, and that was not our decision. As a parent, I have carried the guilt that I debated with my son that he had to go to the parade that day. It was mandatory for his grade. The Packers were playing. It was cold and windy. I had to use a life teaching moment. He made a commitment to the band. This was all part of it. He left reluctantly. I talked to him shortly after I found a parking spot downtown to make sure he was warm enough and told him the general area where I was going to look for a spot to watch the band perform. From 4:33 to 4:34 p.m., I watched the South Band march and perform in front of me. As I was packing up my blankets and chair into the wagon, I noticed what I thought was between a 2008 to a 2012 maroon red Ford Escape driving extremely fast past me. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I remember making the mental notes about the vehicle, the driver, turned to a friend sitting with me, and we were both in awe. Then we heard the screams and the sounds of things being hit, like when you bump into a construction barrel on the freeway. From 4:46 to 4:58 was complete chaos. Fighting the crowd of people running out of the area screaming shots fired, trying to find my son. As I approached the intersection of Main Street and Barstow, the area went completely dark, maybe only in my mind, as I searched for my son, asking people if they knew where he was. A familiar voice behind me said, "He's over here." I turned to see him laying in the street with his feet pointing north.
First, enter your PIN to unlock the device.
Apologies. We had no idea what had happened, only that he was tasting blood and that his stomach hurt. Soon EMTs were there, and we went for a run up and down Main Street as he was being helped before they had a true plan where they were going to stage the injured. He was taken off the gurney and placed in the street to await an ambulance. This is where we met our first hero of the journey. A complete stranger came to sit with us and help roll my son while he was vomiting blood from his injuries, helped to keep him calm and comfort his fears. That was the 18 minutes that felt like an hour. I remember looking around as I waited. Not too far in front of me was a very young officer with his rifle standing guard. To my left were two brothers that we had known from the band and baseball. One lying on the street, clearly injured, the other standing by. I felt completely helpless as I wanted to go and help them. But I couldn't leave my son injured. They say everything happens for a reason, something I have firmly believed. At 5:16 p.m., we were loaded into the ambulance, as I refer to it as the little ambulance that could. While in the middle of everything, it had a coolant leak. The smell of antifreeze will trigger me forever. We made it out to Oconomowoc, and I learned after that it made another run after that before it died. While my son was whisked away to emergency surgery, I had to start making phone calls, returning text messages, figuring out what was next. While he made it through surgery, Will he make it through surgery? How bad were his injuries? After 6 days at the hospital, we were sent home. My athletic son couldn't lift our cats, pour a glass of milk, put his socks and shoes on. He has a scar almost 2 foot long. And as a catcher, he questioned his ability to be able to play the sport he loves, the sport that he eats, breathes, and sleeps. After missing school and work for almost 2 months, we were able to start to get back and work up to a full-time basis over the course of a month. One lingering injury brought questions if he could play ball for what would be the first full season of his high school career. COVID had canceled and shortened the prior two. April 6th, he took to the field with that bandmate that was lying in the street just a few feet from us just 3 months earlier. As we tried to find the sense of normal in between doctor's appointments and procedures.
Hey Deacon, if you can if they can convince the inmates that this is an educational video, they could watch this.
Next one, please. Through the process and the journey of the judicial system, we have found a new family, one that can relate to the horror, the fear, the trauma of that night, changing our lives forever. The criminal complaint had listed 62 named victims, now survivors, 6 that gained their wings. What it did not include were the 16 jurors that had also become victims of the defendant's actions that night, while the named victims, their families and friends had to relive that night they were experiencing firsthand. Mrs. Edwards' statement asked that we forgive her grandson, blaming the mental illness, not encouraging him to take ownership for his actions. She said that she lost a grandson, his mother lost a son, his children lost a father. That isn't completely a true statement, as they will be able to talk to him, send him letters, visit him, hopefully in a maximum security prison. They seem to forget there is a mother that can't kiss her son goodnight, a father that can't play ball with his son, a brother that can't fight with his brother and still be his best friend. There are 3 children that can't call their mother for advice, go shopping, plan their weddings, or have them watch over them as they reach for their dreams. There are numerous grandchildren that won't get to go to grandma's anymore, get spoiled and sent home, hyped on sugar and love. There are teenagers that had to grow up way too quickly, having to make adult decisions about their future. There are girls that may never dance again without fear, their innocence taken away by a selfish decision. There is a grandfather that cannot tell the family stories anymore. He can't watch his wife dance. These families will forever be missing their loved ones. They can't call them, write a letter, or visit them. Nothing will bring back the son, the mom, the daughter, the grandma, and the grandfather to these families. Nothing can restore the innocence lost to ease their fear. But this community came together to lift up each other up, support each other, looked after those that were in their worst moments, celebrated the wins along the way, returning to the dance floor, dancing in the streets, and playing baseball. The prosecution team did an amazing job representing everyone of the plaintiffs in this case. Thank you. The victim witness team was so caring and diligent in keeping us informed, being whenever there was a question that came up. Pepper, who greeted us every time we came to the courthouse, she put a smile on everyone's face, brought a little humor or a caring snuggle. You can do the last one, Tom. Your Honor, you are the standard that should be set across the country. Your patience, your diligence will never be forgotten. From the selfish actions of one person came from one selfish actions of one person came a community rising like a phoenix, stronger than ever, stronger together. I ask that you hand down the maximum possible sentence without parole in prison so that everyone in our Waukesha strong community can heal, remember, grow, and never have to look back. It's, yeah, if you just... here's Crystal.
All right, his turn. Now the person that he hit is gonna be able to tell Darrell what he needs to hear.
I'm Tyler Pudliner, victim O. Your Honor, I appreciate the opportunity to speak today and share my impact statement with the court. It has been a long time coming, but I cannot thank the courts enough for giving not only myself, but all of us who have been affected the opportunity to share our stories. First, I would like to start off with you, Judge Doro. Thank you, Your Honor. We have all been going through these proceedings for almost a year now, and it is almost hard to believe that this is the first time that we've gotten the opportunity to communicate with you directly. I understand now that this is how the process takes place. Now, since the beginning of these proceedings, I've obviously gone through a lot of emotions as having been a victim and survivor in this case. I hate to say it like this, but it seems...
I think he was in the baseball team. He was part of the Waukesha baseball team.
That for a greater portion of the year, and especially throughout the most recent proceedings, and my mother can confirm this, I've been somewhat angry towards you, Judge Doro. And I would now like to apologize for that. Maybe it's because I either did not understand or did not want to become aware of how lengthy the process was. There have been multiple occasions where I have gotten very mad or annoyed due to your rulings that either didn't go the prosecution's way or that I personally felt shouldn't have been made. Obviously, there were also multiple occasions where these disruptions that would continuously be made by the defendant would take up way too much time and cause way too many delays throughout the trial portion of these proceedings. It would stress all of us out more than we should have ever been, to say the least. I would keep asking my mother, other families involved, the prosecution, and victim witness teams, why can't Judge Doro do more to stop the disruptions? Why did she let that one testimony go on for way longer than it should have? But in all thanks to those amazing people sitting behind me, I was able to get the clarification and understanding that I need to calm down and help me understand that we were making steps forward in the process. And that we were going to finally arrive at the finish line as winners. That's why I wanted to start off by thanking you first today, Judge Doro. I am very glad that we have finally arrived at this point in the process where I can say that you did an amazing job throughout the entire process. You have not only shown myself, or just the court, but an entire nation and world, for that matter, that you conducted these proceedings with the utmost respect and decorum to all of the parties involved. Lastly, Your Honor, I want to acknowledge your sainthood. Your devotion to this trial can never be matched. Your fair rulings, passion for this case, and kindness to everyone is more than everyone could have asked for, and for that, I again thank you. You have truly become like a mother and a true hero to this community, and for that we appreciate you, Judge Doro. I would also like to thank this amazing prosecution team, Sue, Leslie, Zach, Tom, Christy, and Ryan. You guys have been the glue that has held us together throughout this entire process over the past year. You've all taken extra time out of your day to stay late and either be able to answer all of our questions or just talk and reassure us that even though with all those sleepless nights and countless hours of delay, we would be okay. I can confidently say that I don't think there could have been a better team put together to represent us as the plaintiffs in this matter.
You see that? You see what he did there? The plaintiffs. We are the plaintiffs, Dara Brooks. And yeah, I think he's hating that they're not talking about him. They're talking about the judge. They're talking about the prosecution. They're not paying attention to him. And that's what a narcissist, sociopath hates the most. When no one's paying attention to him. They have to wave their arms and jump and do all this stuff because they need that attention, and he's not having it, and I'm glad for that.
Just like Judge Doro, all of you have shown the passion, blood, sweat, and tears, and extraordinary effort that has been poured into this case to give us the justice that many have desired and deserve. Consider yourselves true heroes to this community as well. I would also like to highlight Jen and her extraordinary team at Victim Witness Assistance. Again, a group of truly amazing people that I can't say enough words about to describe their amazing work. If we needed a shoulder to cry on, they were there. If we needed to make that late-night phone call to get the answers we desired, they answered. We can truly not thank you guys enough
Look at
for all
that.
your hard work and
Look at that. He's so mad that they're not talking about him. He's like, this is about me. You were supposed to tell stuff about me. Why are you talking about all that other stuff? And look, he's so restless. I love that.
measurable amount of effort that you gave us during this case to our families. And you cannot forget about personally my favorite employee in the entire courthouse, Pepper. You know how they say a dog is a man's best friend. Well, Pepper is an entire community's best friend. I personally, and I'm sure that I could speak for all of us when I say this, could not be more thankful for all the donations that have been made, or have made Pepper possible. Jen and her staff have done an amazing job keeping her in line while she did what any dog does best. Gives us so much unconditional love that for a split second, you feel like all the problems are gone. Once again, I cannot thank everyone who represented us as the state of Wisconsin. You guys did one hell of a job throughout this process and have truly become a special part of this group. Finally, I want to take the time to describe how the events that occurred on November 21st, 2021 have affected my family and myself. No one thinks that something like those horrendous acts committed by the defendant on 11/20/21 will ever happen to you. Christy, if you could please. I want you to look at that, Mr. Brooks. That's what you did to me that night. That's us in the ER, waiting. I remember bits and pieces, but that is what happened. If you could go on to the next slide, please, Christy. Throughout the past year, I have become very close to other families involved in this matter. All the pictures there have what kept me going. The sport of baseball and all the other families affected in that community. I've gained more little brothers than I can say, and an entire new baseball team to live out the rest of this life with. Next slide, please. I've also met so many new friends post 11/20/21. A new grandmother to add to such a wonderful family, another new brother in that instance, that have just helped me get through everything. And it's kept us stronger through the whole process. Next slide, please, Christy. I've also gotten to become closer to other groups that were affected. Last Saturday, I marched with the Milwaukee Dancing Grannies in their Christmas parade.
Hey, nice.
Veterans Day Parade, yeah, my bad, sorry. Coming together with other groups like this is something that has, again, shown that we are very strong. We are stronger than the defendant, and we are an entire community that has shown that strength. These memories are what have kept us going and will forever keep us going in this process. Next slide, please, Christy. As I stated before, baseball is a sport that has specifically kept me going. Wrestling is another love. I've gotten to meet some very cool wrestlers, Braun Strowman to name a few, and Ric Flair. A race car driver, a local race car driver that I pit for at Slinger Speedway, has basically been another grandfather throughout this entire process. He spent every day with us at the hospital for the week I was hospitalized, except Thanksgiving. I've gained another brother who's pictured there at that wrestling event with another part of my truly amazing and big family that I've gained out of this. Christian Yelich, a Brewer, and my favorite player and now manager of the Brewers, Craig Counsell. You go to the next slide, please. Finally, this right here, this is me and my buddy Eric. We were both affected that day, and we made the return within 3 months of everything happening to come back and play the sport that we love. We did not stay down. We did not cry. Didn't let it get to us. We came back stronger than ever. Yeah, we might have lost, but we played hard and truly showed this entire community that we are stronger together, and we are stronger than you. I just want to also address one more thing to Mr. Brooks. These are 2 quotes that have gotten me through this entire process. You can mark it down in your Bible if you want for this one. It's Romans 12:21. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. The second one, also to go with his grandmother's statement, I picked it up from the book and movie The Shack, written by William P. Young. The quote is, "Forgiveness in no way requires that you trust the one you forgive. Forgiveness is not about forgetting. It is about letting go of another person's throat." And I do want to acknowledge that I am letting go of your throat, Mr. Brooks, but I have not forgiven you.
Good.
Thank you, Your Honor, for the chance to speak today.
Thank you to both of you.
All right, that was a great one. That was a powerful one. The both of them had to say to Mr. Brooks, and I really like that he just did it at the end. He just spent a minute on Mr. Brooks, but at the same time he thanked everyone else about it, and I love that Darrell Brooks hated that. Every time that he's unhappy, I'm happy. But all right, guys, that's gonna be it for today. Maybe not today. Maybe we're gonna come back in the afternoon to see some more statements. But it was great. All the people here was great. I love hearing their stories because they overcome. They overcame what Darrell Brooks did to them, and that's something that everyone can learn from. Like I sit here and I listen to all of that, and I'm like, this is awesome. This is people that overcame injuries, mental anguish, everything that this person did to them in a moment of rage, in a moment of not knowing what he was doing, and now they get to say it to his face, and I love that. But right, that's gonna be it for this live. I'm probably gonna do another one on the afternoon. But I have some stuff that I had to do today. But yeah, thank you guys. New video for sure tomorrow morning, and I'm really happy that you guys were here with me for this. Thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Bye bye.